All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for the patience. Our colleague John, who's based in UK, uh, he had a power cut right before we wanted to start the event, and we are still waiting for him to to get into the meeting. He's going to be our host today, and in the meanwhile, I am replacing them. We are really happy to have you here all. Today we are going to talk about real use of AI because as we all experience, everyone is talking about it. Everyone knows something about it. It's like, you know, a globe of 8 billion AI experts, but we haven't seen so much about the practical usage so far. At LogiNet, we have our in-house AI projects and AI products, which we are developing and distributing. But first of all, we are really interested in how other companies, SMBs, corporations, or even startups are implementing AI into their core processes. So that's why we brought together today's panel, where we have our guests. First of all, Martin Gallardo, who is an AI hacker. He knows quite a lot about how to implement AI into practical processes of companies. He's also coaching decision makers and CEOs in this topic. And we'll have Balint Horvath, who used to be solution architect, now the leader of our AI development group, and he's also the product guy, the product master behind some of our cool AI products. He'll talk about the different levels of AI implementation, and he will also show us, in my personal opinion, a very impressive demo about cognitive calls, an AI agent with an actual voice who can do actual stuff like customer service, booking, or issue management. But we'll know more about it later. So now I can see John is back.
I am sorry. I had a power cut like right at the time. I can't believe the timing of these things. But there we go.
All right, all
Maybe
right.
there's a segue into AI for that. Have we done intros for Martin as well as Balint? I heard you doing Balint there.
Yeah, exactly. I've also introduced Martin, so I'll just hand over the mic to you, John, from now.
Yeah, great. First, I don't know if you did also an intro to LogiNet as a whole, who is obviously kind of sponsoring the event today.
Barely. So if you can say a few sentences
Yeah,
about.
absolutely. So obviously this event has been put on by our awesome company LogiNet, who are kind of your AI partners. And we offer a range of AI services designed at kind of small to medium to mid-market companies who are just embracing that kind of transitional phase. We are a kind of 90 strong team based across Hungary, Switzerland, Austria, and the United Kingdom. And we offer a range of services outside of the AI thing, but obviously with this webinar is very much kind of an AI focus, but we obviously have core competencies around software development, and product development, UX UI as well, which is kind of Aaron's field, and everything in between. So yeah, without further ado, guys, we're going to run this like as a sort of a fireside chat, if that's okay with you, Martin and Balint. And I'm just going to throw a few questions at you guys. Now, our marketing team has told me that there's going to be polls for those of you who are watching. There's going to be polls popping up, and if you guys could, interact with these polls and give us some numbers on those polls, that would be really cool. And we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you have questions as they come up throughout the webinar, please chuck your questions in the comments, and we'll read those out at the end. So we're going to allow time for questions at the end. So yeah, today's real focus about the podcast is aimed at kind of people who are, everybody's talking about AI, and we know we need to do something with it. I'm put myself in the shoes of a kind of a small to medium business, and how do I get started? So let's think about the first question that I would have is, where do I start? How do I know where to start? What should I be doing? Let's say we are a small to medium business. Where do I start? I'm gonna throw that at Martin first.
Thank you, John, and thank you for the webinar today. So, fantastic question. This is what I do every day. So I'm
That's
actually
why you're here, buddy.
yeah, that's so I'm fractional COO for PayTaps, which is actually the Stripe of the Middle East. Is actually the beginner of the fintech in the MENA region, right? So about 200 people. When I started about a year ago with a turnaround, we were not talking about AI at all. So the first thing that I will tell founders is you don't need an AI strategy, you need a strategy. Right. So I think this is really where founders will be looking at, where do we want to go first? So as long as, because you could spend all your time doing AI stuff, honestly. So there is, and we will talk more about all the fun things that you can do, right? But you could spend your entire time doing the small things, you know. But what I challenge the founders is to do the big things, right? So where do you want to go in terms of 3 to 5 years, right? Are you a VC-backed company that needs to grow fast, right? Or are you a bootstrap, or are you a long-term SME, right? So who are you and where do you want to go? I think that is the way I always start with the founders, and I do a re-strategy for them, or a strategy sprint with them to actually anchor that, right? And I normally anchor that, okay, this is your long-term vision, then you come back to, okay, this year, and then let's say this quarter, right? And then you have if you want to achieve that this year, what does it mean for your organization? And then it normally falls into the main blocks of a business model, or an operating model. So you have the management, and then you have, of course, product and tech, then you have the sales and marketing, you have your ops, and then you have everything else. So support and ecosystem suppliers and all of those type of things, right? And each of those items is going to be supported by people, technology, and money, right? So those are the 3 tools that each of those blocks they leverage. So the first thing is you need a strategy. So once you have that very clear, what you want to achieve, it's so much easier to work with AI.
That's cool. So I'm gonna stop on that one, because that's a really nice segue into to Balint. Let's say we've got our strategy. Do you agree that it's a kind of a long-term thing, or do we pick off some like low-hanging fruit to start with, or like how do we go about implementing that strategy? Because a lot of the time it's not always AI, is it? It's sometimes it can be just some simple tooling and whatnot.
Yeah. So first of all, don't implement AI just for the sake of implementing AI.
Yeah.
And so we do AI discovery a lot. We provide this for companies just to understand what's the real goal there, which fields can we improve with some sort of AI solutions. But the key question is not, so we are not addressing as how can we introduce AI somehow, but like what are the company goals? So I strongly agree on it with Martin. So what changed is we have the same issues, and we had some issues in the past which we couldn't solve without generative AI. We had machine learning, we had general software development practices, and the newcomer is generative AI. So we need to actually just revisit the past topics we weren't able to solve before generative AI.
Yeah.
And we can build up on that.
Yeah. And so let's build up on that. Now, my next question would be, I'm going to put you, Martin, in the shoes of let's go with the longer term SME. So reasonably established SME, because I think this is an area where you can really kind of drive change through digital transformation and
Absolutely,
AI.
yes.
And so maybe you could just talk me through a use case, just one short use case and then Martin, Balint, you can think of one at the same time, and we'll go through that. I'll give you a couple of minutes each to run through a typical use case where you can see AI really adding value without it being a headache to implement, because sometimes there's resistance to change within these organizations as well.
Yes. So super. So let's say the typical company on that stage, I guess they are looking for ways to increase the margin, right? So margin is an interesting thing for those companies, even more than growth, right? but I would say margin is good because it impacts on the CEO's pay slip. I mean, but yeah, they are more dividend driven and they are more like
Sure.
they want to continue the business, right? So one of the main areas where you will directly look into the margin is operations, right? And inside of operations, what is the most typical? Customer service, right? So very clear case for you for AI is customer service. So customer service, customer that I'm working with a couple of years ago, they have 10,000 tickets a month. So 10,000 tickets a month is a lot of tickets.
Yes,
so what they did is, first of all, they start introducing solution articles. So they created up to 1,000 solution articles about how to use the tool, technical documentation, developers documentation, and so forth and so forth. They managed to go down from those tickets from 10,000 to 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have implemented a AI chatbot with a RAG that takes all of those solution articles and it answers to you in Arabic, even with accent, right?
Wow.
It's still text-based, but it's implemented in all the different surfaces. So the mobile app, the desktop, even the external website, and so on. We estimate that we can now save from, let's say, those 5,000, we could go about to 1,000 to 2,000 tickets. Yeah. Now the next level is a conversational AI, right? So actually, well, the next level that we implemented was an AI autoresponder. So the first email that lands to the customer service is actually answered by an agent. So it's not only if you cannot answer on the chatbot, but okay, open a ticket to a human. It's actually not a human. It's actually an AI sounding like a human answering to that email, giving you the answer. Yeah. If you are still not happy, then there is the third level, which is a conversational AI. Yeah. So we will still send you to talk. This is not implemented yet, but this is the next use case. For example, with cognitive calls demo and so on, right? So then you will actually call and you will actually experience a fluid conversation with an agent that is trained or has a RAG about all of those solution articles. So that is very clear. Now, the question is, why do I do with the people? Right, but I guess maybe that we will talk a little bit more about that.
Yes, we will.
John?
That's my next question.
That will be another question, but yeah, I let Balint and you to take over. But yeah, customer service, customer support, absolutely clear.
You probably stole Balint's answer as well, but let's see what you got, Balint.
No worries. So it's actually a good approach to start with some internal tool. So instead of developing something you will expose to the crowd, usually people think when they hear AI, they think of chatbots, and that's completely normal. That's okay. But a bad implementation of a customer-facing tool could be really risky.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good approach to start internally. And for example, let's say you want to save the most important and the most expensive resources you have, people, and again, people. So it's a really typical use case that you have some sort of knowledge base, an internal knowledge base, and you want your employees to chat with it to make it more efficient to look up some sort of information, how to do the process effectively. Or for example, when they are talking to a customer, to a partner, to anyone else within the company, they get the information instantly, or we can just skip some people in the chain to get some information. So for example, a chat with a knowledge base is a really typical use case. But let me tell you one more use case, because people are usually probably interested in how to make money with AI. So there are lots of opportunities in
make money, save money.
Yeah, but we are talking about a lot. We are talking about a lot an internal application, what kind of customer success we can enhance, and so on and so on. But how can we get more sales? And I see a trend that data cleaning and scraping and cleaning data will result in better sales performance. So I think that's a good part of your company to double check, to think about how can you utilize some sort of new AI solutions, some LLM, to clean up your data and provide your salespeople a nice data set they can work.
I think this is super important. I have seen it. We have actually back calculated the impact of lead qualification. So if your AI can actually help you with lead qualification, it's massive. We are talking about double your impact on the revenue. So just utilizing AI, of course, I mean, if you look at the funnel, so basically everything is a funnel, right? So if you look at the funnel, just as Balint said, so you can go and collect a lot of scrape and collect and clean, and then you have a lot of leads. But then it's really the lead qualification that makes a lot of sense. So now, for example, I work with Ati, which is a CRM. It allows us to understand based on a conversation, or actually go to the website and reach it, or go to the person on LinkedIn and reach it, and understand, is this an ICP, yes or no? So just by saying this is a perfect match,
and this is automated. This is
yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
how are you pointing it where you want to point it, or what are the entry points for me? Like, what am I putting in to the AI?
So I normally work a lot with forms, but you could customize or engineer your own game for the customer. So one of the cool things that you can do with custom development, for example, of course, you maybe vibe code it, but normally you will need an engineer to actually help you to create an ROI calculators or games that allows them to create value for the customer front facing. So you have your website, let them tell you their problems or some information about them, or a survey or a benchmark. They are able to get value for free, right? So you automate the entire process, you create a benchmark for them, you send them a report, all automated. It comes to your CRM. Now, on that CRM, let AI decide, is this a super customer? Is it a normal customer? Or is it a customer that will likely churn? I mean,
what kind of company is using this? Is this for like a SaaS-based company then?
SaaS-based companies, for example, could be they could benefit a lot from these. Especially when you start having like a long history of customers, the ones that are always a pain in the ass and complaining and churn, right? Or the ones that never complain, they stay long. So you can start looking at the LTV, CAC, all of those metrics, and let AI tell you, contact those guys first. Because the combination of lead qualification and cost of delay, so cost of delay means who are you contacting first? This is also very important. You should contact first the best potential customer you can have. The combination of both, it's massive. You are talking a 3-4x your sales.
What kind of numbers do we need to be having to make it worthwhile to implement this kind of solution?
Well, it depends on every company, right? So of course, for SaaS, it works really good. But if you have a logistics company, right, and they are coming with inquiries, okay, give me quotes for this or that. You could ask them some questions, or you could even enrich or find it yourself, like Bright Data APIs and stuff like that, or Apollo. You could find the number of employees they have on that company. Why the number of employees they have on that company without asking them? Because it will tell you about the willingness to pay. If it's 100 people company or 1,000 people company, these guys, they have money or they don't have money. So automatically you can know that company, it's a potential good customer for us, or at least they potentially have a budget. And you don't even need to ask the customer. Today with AI, you can just go pass the URL, get some information, let the AI think and tell you these guys should be priority 1, priority 2, 3, or 4.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Balint now, but with a new question. And that is around, because we mentioned about I picked up on two things in the last question that you guys were answering, which is people 1 and risks number 2. And I guess maybe they go hand in hand, because some people, there's a kind of hesitancy to change. And again, I go back with the SaaS companies, I guess they're a little bit more kind of forward thinking. These are newer companies, so I guess it's easier for them to sort of implement these things because they're not long established. But for say the more established businesses where you have legacy solutions or like long-term employees and all of these kind of things, how are we mitigating the risk? How are we helping embrace AI without people feeling like it's going to take their jobs? Which maybe it will, maybe it won't, or maybe it will help their jobs. I don't know, but that's a question for you to answer.
So it's about helping people with their jobs usually. So we are not replacing the jobs, but we try to try to outsource the boring part of their jobs to the AI. So that's the primary that's the primary goal. So you may need people for direct customer care, but when it comes to boring, repetitive or stressful jobs, it's the best way to start. So usually what we inspect, that we go across all the departments, we talk to department leads, and we are taking case by case so we are understanding what are they doing, like we do with general software development. So we understand the processes, and then we check where is the place for the AI. And usually it's some sort of automation where people are usually happy to get rid of some part of their job to give it up to do it by some sort of AI solution.
Yeah, this is it. So then, Martin, just as an extension of this, but are we kidding ourselves that AI isn't going to take your job, or is it going to take some people's jobs? I mean, surely there's going to be redundancies somewhere along the lines.
I mean, I will continue with what Balint said, because it was very nice what he said, right? This is really, this week we are actually doing an automation exactly what he's saying, right? So we have an internal workflow. I see on the poll that people say that mostly internal workflows, very interesting. So they used to spend 45 minutes to submit to the bank each merchant they have. My customer spend 45 minutes. It's a series of a lot of PDFs and documents, each of them. Yeah, it's configuration about the business accounts and all of those type of things. 45 minutes. We managed to automate, actually without AI, but automation, right? We could add some AI, but it just by automation, API sent from CRM to the form and URL parsing, all of these type of things, you could pre-populate the form with all the information from the CRM and then pass it to all the PDFs, and then create some logic there to say, I'm going to send this type of email if the currency is this, or the combination of currencies is that. Now the process takes 5 minutes, 3 clicks. So this is a very clear example of they used to spend 45 minutes several times a day doing this extremely boring job, basically typing numbers in Excel and PDF. And now it's done. So what do we do with these people? Right? Which comes to these questions. So of course you could fire them, yeah, right? But then your business will be the same. Not to mention you lose a lot of know-how, and you reduce the morale of your company, right? There are a lot of downsides with this approach. You may increase the margin in the short term, and if you're a short-term thinker or a guy who wants to get a bigger Porsche this year, maybe you do that, but that's not smart, right? So now it comes really the important thing here, which is the human factor. Now, for example, I'm the CEO, I have a team of 25 people. So the conversation that I have with them is, okay, now we are going to have 80% of the job automated. But you know what? I have 400 tickets on customer success. No one is picking them. The SLA is broken, and we don't have enough. People are actually asking us for upsells, for integration support, for other type of jobs. Can we actually split this department and create a new department called customer success, right? So now we are moving them to customer success, right? Customer success is really taking care of the customers we already have and increase metrics like net dollar retention and average contract value, or reducing churn, which has economic impact. customer support people, normally they don't have bonuses, right? They have an SLA, but they don't have bonuses. Now I'm telling them, guys, you're going to earn more money because I'm going to give you bonus for all the upsells that you make. Now, all the new revenue that you generate, I'm going to give you a cut of that. So not only AI is good for you, you stop doing very boring things, but it actually upgrade you to a new job where you can actually earn more money and bonuses. So that's the approach that we took. We will not, of course, we will use the moment to fire underperformers. Yes, that you should use it. So if someone is consistently breaking the SLAs or not matching the company culture, this is a perfect excuse to let them go.
Yeah.
Right. But the ones that are good, and some of them are very long time in your company, you need to retrain them. And this is really the biggest challenge on this process is people are going to experience a lot of change management.
That's it. Yeah.
And I think over the next 3 to 5 years, the amount of change management, and honestly, 20, 30, 40 years ago, people were much better at especially managers and leaders were much better at change management because the speed was slow. So you could spend the time training the people, taking care of the people. Today, there is no time. There is no time. I see it all the time. There is no time for training. There is no time for, it's just go, go, go. You need to be able to deliver, right? This is going to be a big challenge and a biggest stressor for people because I would like to take those customer success people and say, okay, 2 or 3 of them, I actually want to move them to an automation department. I would love to retrain them to be AI fluent or not developer fluent, but AI, applied AI. Like they can do some things, you know?
I believe the winners will be who will utilize the remaining or the freeing up human capacity the better, because AI will be a must-have in the companies. So everyone will need to use it. So either you are going off market without using AI, or you apply AI, and you need to be really smart what you are doing with the resources you gain by applying AI. And I think it's a really really crucial part of and I agree with Martin. So decision makers need to be smart about what to do with these resources. And the technology is fast, but the whole world is going fast. So so the reaction to the changes need to be quick as well.
Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna put my guys also if you have any questions, because we're approaching the Q&A section of the webinar, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And I've got a poll result here. Where are you on the AI readiness map? Which AI use case feels most relevant to you? Number 1, actually, guys, is internal workflows, and then number 2 is customer service, interestingly. So, I mean, that's quite similar to what we've just touched upon, but I'm interested in the internal workflows part, actually, there. Because that's because we've talked a lot about the customer service, and perhaps we can chat very quickly, because it's relevant to that poll, through maybe an internal workflows, kicking off with you, Balint, of an AI implementation of an internal workflow that you think is a good use case.
So I will reflect on Martin's previous thing about so some part of the implementation is not necessarily AI. So here is the point that I mentioned, that usually 80 or 90% of the implementation is regular software development. And
something our hosts at LogiNet, and talk to me about that afterwards, guys, we're very good at.
Yeah, exactly. And it's essential that you are not only expert in AI, but general software development, because you will need a software. So into an enterprise, you can't just implement AI right away. So you will, and people usually think that AI is some magical animal out of Hogwarts. It's not. It's actually a software. It has some input and some output. So we need to keep in mind that. So, and usually it's some sort of ETL project.
Yeah.
I think the best way to help your your employees to find these boring tasks. So that's where automation comes in. And so you have two ways. So either you revisit that what you were not able to solve with any software before because the software was not smart enough to do that. And with LLMs, with generative AI, now you have the answers. You can generate images, audio, even videos, whatever you need. You can transform data to another data, text to text. It understands like usually a human would. Or the another approach, it's kind of dangerous, but you can do that. What kind of tools do we have on the market? For example, now we are able to generate text in any language. How can it, and maybe you can do I don't know, a SWOT or other analysis. So what do we do with this? So if you are clueless how to implement it, those are the that's another way to approach it. But I would still encourage everyone to just revisit the processes like you would do if it's a standard software project. And usually when we do AI discovery projects at companies, it's really common that we identify a lot of requests that has nothing to do with AI, and we are seeing like a 10x process efficiency increase with something that has nothing to do with AI. And sometimes we identify something like a person is doing a really manual job that can be done with a really, really simple AI.
Yes, if I could add on that, because
Please.
I have run 7 scale-up accelerators, and what Balint said is exactly what we used to do. So the first few days, strategy, right? And then we will spend 2 or 3 days doing a design thinking workshop, basically. So design thinking workshop is people were using it a lot on 2017, 18. I used to run like 50 workshops per year on like that for corporates. And it's amazing. You can just discover, prioritize, focus, and say, okay, we create a backlog. The same backlog as engineers do, but then it's a business backlog, right? So what are we going to automate or improve? Then you start with the top one. Now, what is interesting today is, first, learn design thinking, because it's more relevant than ever. More relevant than ever. This is extremely important for anyone on any business. Learn this. It's almost like a life skill. But the second is bring an applied AI or an AI guy to that workshop. A solution architect or a developer, someone that is a geek about automation, bring them to the workshop. Why? Because it will start telling you guys, oh, that's a very interesting problem that you want to solve. By the way, do you know that you could do something like this? So it will explode the amount of ideas that you can do now, right? So it really is even more important to bring the technologists and the business people together in the room, in a physical room, with post-its and all this bullshit that is fun, and really spend the time together to make those backlogs, and then give yourself 90 days. Like, in 90 days, we are going to prove value. This is the backlog. If we do one or two of those things, great.
Yeah, and actually, that's a really cool segue into some of the questions that we've had come in, actually, guys, because you talked about proving value and all that kind of stuff. And it's the first question here is from David, and it's about how do we justify AI development costs if we're not 100% sure of the outcome?
So we have an approach here with all AI projects. We need to agree on objective metrics before we start the project. So during the either the discovery or the planning, we include into the specification or into one document we all agree on what are the objectives we will revisit after the project, because the results with AI projects are really often subjective. it's easily ruins the mood, and you're hungry for the upcoming AI projects if you feel anxiety. And it helps the whole team, the whole development team, and your internal employees to focus on those goals. So it's not going sideways, like not polishing the UI of the chat, or not spending time to understand if a sentence is perfect that's returned from the AI, because that's not the thing we want to focus. For example, I had a really little article about what if it doesn't sound human. So when we usually meet the concern of people that the AI agent will not sound human in the phone call with the cognitive calls, but that's is that really matters? So it's doing its job. It talks to people, it schedules appointments, it records the whole summary to your CRM. It assigns tasks in your ERP to everyone, and so on, automatically without human intervention. And we can do that at scale. So I can do easily 1,000 phone call and do a survey and give you real-time results within an hour. So how much would it take for you to do this with people, with real humans? So from business perspective, you need to see clear what are your objective metrics, where you will define and decide that the project was successful.
The cognitive calls one's a good one, actually, because I was talking to somebody at London Tech Week about this yesterday, and actually sometimes I don't want to talk to a human, because humans are human and like they get emotional and whatnot. So I think if you're running these things with cognitive calls and you're clear that it's an AI chatbot from the start, and you're not trying to trick people that it's actually a human, then the human on the other end of the call will respond better to the call anyway, because they know, okay, I'm talking to an AI agent here, but that's okay, because I'm hopefully going to get what I want anyway, and blah blah blah. So rather than stay on that same question, Martin, I'm going to throw this question to you, and this is from Jeffrey Smith. Jeffrey's got two, actually, so I'll do the next one to Balint. But how do you know which models or apps to learn, as there seems to be a massive land grab at the moment, and it's already an upskill process for me? So without wasting time and resources, there are just so many choices to understand.
Super. So I'm not an engineer. Well, I'm actually an industrial engineer, but I'm not a proper developer. I'm a self-taught developer, so I can do basic things, right? So I will say for everyone nowadays, learn the basic things. So what is the basic things? I check one of the polls. So one of the issues is integrations, right? Learn integrations, right? So it's a little bit about the mindset, right? So right now we are in a industrial revolution. You need to have a mindset to learn, to reskill yourself, and have the mindset, I can learn anything, because you are the most advanced machine in the world, even more than AI still, right?
For now.
So have the mindset of, I can learn it, right? I can be 60 years old and I can learn this. And it's not difficult to learn how an HTTP request works. What is post? What is get? How to send, how to go into Postman and try something. So do it as a hobby at night, right? I want to try something about getting an API, like data from an API, right? That is public, something very stupid. But it will give you enormous satisfaction as a human being to say, wow, I am connecting to another source of data and I am seeing that data. That small exercise, take it as a challenge or as a game, and give yourself every week one small challenge. That will start flexing these muscles about, hey, I'm becoming fluid at this. Now I can do a post, I can do a get, and it will demystify a lot of things you may have in your mind. Like, it's not that difficult, right? So integrations, something that everyone should be able to learn how to send and get information. When it comes to tools, If you are playing or really to get into it, I think N8N is a very interesting tool. It allows you to get some information, and it has a lot of predetermined apps. And for example, it can place with your email or some third party. And so N8N is a cool thing to play with. It costs $20 a month or $30 a month. It's easy to play with. It's just give yourself a personal budget for AI. I will also ask you to do something like this. Like give yourself like the pleasure. Well, if you're a geek like me, the pleasure of spending $100 a month on AI for yourself.
Yeah,
I know it sounds a lot of money.
Is this as a CEO or anybody really who is just
anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody. And I see actually leaders are completely disconnected to this, and leaders should also get to learn these things. What is actually possible out there? Because if you are a leader that understands this, people will feel more respect to you, right? And they will also, wow, this guy actually understands what we can do.
Yeah.
And it will boost the morale of the people. They will feel that if they start doing these things, they will, since you understand it, they will be recognized, that you are easier to talk to.
Yeah.
So especially for leaders, this is important. You need to at least get conversational about it, you know? But in terms of tools, I would say Bubble.io is very easy. You just drag and drop things, put yourself a bottom there, make some APIs, token, post, get, and try to get some information back and forth and show it, right? Or build a small internal tool. So Bubble, N8, and of course a CRM like Atio that I use a lot, because it has embedded AI, but also has easy to send HTTP, so you can send to anyone and do fun things. Cool. So those are the tools that I'm using today, and of course OpenAI API and Anthropic. We have very good results with Claude as well. So of course the main APIs, which are also very easy to use.
All right, that's helpful. So we're going to go one last question, and then because I want to leave you guys a minute or two each to kind of wrap up and share your kind of final closing thoughts. So last question again is from our friend Jeffrey. I'm pleased Jeffrey's getting involved here. How do you protect customer data to ensure it is not out there under GDPR and still utilize AI programs for data analysis or summarizing reports, etc.? Balint, I'll throw that one to you.
Yeah, so what we usually do is we are operating our own AI infra. For example, at Cognitive Cost, we have the LLM in our own hosted servers. And in other projects, we can do a few things. So we have 3 levels. The first is using wrappers, different APIs, and different APIs usually provide different privacy and security solutions. What we can do is not using the standard OpenAI or Anthropic APIs, but instead of that, we are using alternative inference APIs. These are called inference APIs, where we can interact with a model. So these are hosted models provided by service providers who provide an API to such models, which will guarantee you more privacy and EU data centers for GDPR. What we are working with, and what you can do is you can utilize cloud services clusters, like sometimes we meet Azure Cloud or Google Cloud, so some kind of private cloud solutions and so on. What we are working with a lot of enterprises like insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, and such use cases where we work with really sensitive data, and there is no way that the data should be exposed. There, we provide on-premise solutions where we can set up the servers and we can install the models, we can run them efficiently, and when we use that, and sometimes it starts by creating some kind of internal AI service, because such companies usually on a journey to start their AI applications and multiple implementations of AI solutions. But if they are not already having an AI cluster or something where they can run it, we have a service where we go and we install and monitor the LLM and provide the API within the company. So it's completely on premise. And with enterprises, it's very common that they are already have a giant contract with Microsoft or Google or AWS, and we need to respect those contracts.
Cool. Okay, guys, this has been really fascinating. You got a minute each to give us some closing thoughts, wrap up, sell yourselves, whatever you want to do, but maybe give us some closing remarks on AI to take away, and then I'll close the session. Martin.
Thank you. So we are in the middle of an industrial revolution again.
I loved that, by the way. I'm stealing that. Just
yes,
so you know.
and you need to have the mindset required for a revolution, and that is have the mindset that you can learn this. You can be on the other side of the curve or of the pathwork, right? I would say really challenge yourself to learn this, to get fluid at this and show value, right? Be the one in your company that it actually learn it and show value, even if it's small. But the moment you do that, your boss will say, hey, someone actually spent a couple of nights here learning and has the mindset. I think the mindset is the important thing. You will get promoted.
Yeah.
We are promoting now one girl like head of automation, right? Because she did fantastic job. So there is so much up for grabs on any company to become that head of automation or head of AI, even if you are not a developer, you know.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to have is the mindset and willingness to learn and look into the business. How do you create value? How do you serve better your boss and your company? And ask questions. Ask plenty of questions. We are in an era where solutions are one API call. Like basically all the solutions of the world, they are there for you right now. Before it was an expensive consultant like me that you have to call and pay. Now they are better than me, right? You just call through an API. But the questions, this is where the gold is. So we and the entire education system trains us to answer. For 20 years, we have been trained to answer. We are on an era where we need to retrain ourselves to ask. So I will really leave that remark, change the mindset and ask a lot of questions.
Amazing. Change the mindset, ask questions. Balint, I'm having word in my ear from our executive producers that we need to, instead of you talking to us, you need to actually demo something to us. So if everybody on the webinar is able to stay for a few minutes, I think Balint is hoping to do a quick live demo of cognitive calls, which hopefully should be interesting for you. Are you game for that, Balint?
Yeah, why not? We can do that.
Amazing. Cool. He is. Awesome.
I'm sharing my desktop with you. So it's a really good and common use case that you have a callback form on your website, and I will do a travel insurance callback form. And what we can do is, for example, this. So it's capable of calling you by your name. So let's call it Richard X. And basically, to cognitive calls, you can send the data via any API, and it will initiate a call.
Hello, Richard. I'm Thomas, the customer service AI assistant at Demo Insurance Limited. I'm reaching out because you recently showed interest in travel insurance. I'd like to help you find the best coverage for your trip. A few quick questions will help determine what's best for your needs. Shall we start?
Yeah, let's begin.
When does your trip start, and when will you return?
I will leave tomorrow, Friday, and I will be back next Friday.
So, you're planning a week-long trip. Which country or countries are you traveling to?
I'm traveling to Thailand, Koh Samui.
Thailand can be a wonderful destination. How will you be traveling to Koh Samui? Will you be flying from London, or is there another mode of transport involved, like driving or taking a train to an international airport?
Yeah, I will be driving to Luton, and via Dubai and Bangkok, I will land in Samui.
So, you'll be driving to Luton Airport, then flying from there to Dubai, and then connecting to Bangkok, and finally taking another flight to Koh Samui. That's quite a journey. Are you planning any activities such as diving, snorkeling, or boating while you're in Thailand?
I will definitely go on a boat trip, and I will be swimming and probably scuba diving.
It sounds like you're planning some exciting activities in Thailand. As you'll be engaging in scuba diving, I want to make sure you're aware of the importance of having adequate medical coverage while abroad. Our travel insurance policy includes medical coverage, which can be a lifesaver in case of an emergency. Additionally, our policy also provides compensation for trip cancellations or delays, lost luggage and valuables protection, and emergency assistance and repatriation. It's a comprehensive coverage that can give you peace of mind while you're traveling. Many people think insurance is unnecessary, but an unexpected event, like a medical emergency or flight delay, can easily cost thousands. Good insurance covers these situations. Would you like me to explain more about the policy and its benefits?
Actually, is there any limitations of scuba diving? What depth can I go?
Our travel insurance policy includes scuba diving coverage, but there are some limitations to be aware of. The policy covers scuba diving up to a depth of 30 meters, 100 feet, for certified divers. However, if you plan to dive beyond this depth, you'll need to purchase an additional dive coverage upgrade. Additionally, the policy also requires that you have a valid scuba diving certification and that you dive with a certified instructor.
Right, you get the idea, and after that, it will transfer me to a human agent. And actually, we are using these same AI technologies to evaluate the course. So in a few seconds, it will land in this spreadsheet all the things we talked about in a structured way, and here it is.
There it goes.
So it's Richard Henrik's.
And Balint, actually, a question on that. Like, what number of people do you think will prefer this method rather than just kind of figuring things out on their own, like on a Q&A section of a travel insurance website versus talking to somebody like this? So is there any kind of data on that? And like, is there still a lot of people that rather the call?
Yeah, so the issue there is that it takes too long for human agents to call back people. So it's a real need. So it's a real need of multiple companies we are already serving, that it needs to be instant. So you don't want to wait hours or days that someone will eventually call you back.
Interestingly, this morning we have a beehive in our garden that we need to move, but we need to move it properly so that the bees don't die, etc., etc. And I put in a call request this morning because it was out of office, and then I knew that I was going to be busy this morning with this. And nobody's called me back yet. So yeah, you're right. There is a need for that.
Yeah, and some people want to talk while phone, and so we have experiences with a lot of surveys, and people are more willing to reply to phone surveys than, for example, email surveys. So when you are measuring NPS score, for example, or doing a research on how you are doing, so what are people thinking about your product or service, it's usually a more efficient way because more people will respond. So it's really crowded in your inboxes, so you will much likely will respond to a phone call. Of course, the people need to agree on it somehow. That's why a callback form is really good. But most of the large companies already included in their terms and conditions, and they sent out the updates to people that AI agents may call them. And actually, sometimes it's a better experience because it's it's faster. You are not waiting on IVRs, and it's instant, and you can tell anything and feel comfortable that you are not sharing anything personal or sensitive with another human. So, but
yes, I mean, I cannot. We have a big problem with lead time. Because we have actually too much inbound of customers. It's a good problem to have, but if you don't have enough salespeople, right? Simply you cannot. We should process 10x what we can process. So if you are on a business where for instance, your CEO or your marketing or your founder-led growth, that's an amazing job, and you have too many tickets. People hate waiting for 1 or 2 weeks. Hey, you wanted to open an account for us. It's like, no, I don't want an account now. It's not a good moment for me. I want to be called when I actually am on the PC and I want to open an account, right? So timing is a very clear use case. Absolutely.
And my closing thought, if you allow me.
I will, absolutely.
So so the world is going faster, but the implementation of things are faster thanks to such tools. So you can utilize these tools to keep up with this faster crowd. And I see a lot of CEOs insist to be participant of the AI implementation projects themselves, as Martin mentioned. Really good leaders are joining the AI discovery sessions, and they are there near to the implementation because they want to learn more about it, and they want to make sure that everyone at the company, every leader, department head, and preferably everyone at the company understands the importance of adopting new technologies and reacting to the change. And my final thing to say that don't forget the objective metrics.
Yeah, and thank you, Balint. That's brilliant, because that was going to be my kind of closing thought before I end the session, because I'll end with what we started with, which was both of you, Martin and Balint, were talking about, where do you start? Well, you start with the outcome first, and so kind of work from your objectives backwards, and then you figure out the tooling and figure out the implementation from there. So everybody who's stayed on this, which is a good number of people actually, so that's encouraging, and I'm pleased. I hope people have found value in this. We do this every month, Product Pulse webinars. Martin, Balint, thank you so much for your time. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will follow up with you soon. All the best, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Balint.